Hey there, CEOs. Thank you so much for joining me for Barter Blacks Today and Black History podcast. We made it all the way 28 days of featuring Black entrepreneurs every day of the month. And I think we saved the best for last. So thank you so much for joining me. I am here today with Bikira Radcliffe, founder of United Colors of Cancer, which has a mission to advocate for BIPOC cancer survivors. Hi, Bikira. How are you?
Hi, Nicole. I'm good.
Good, good. I'm so happy to have you here today. So, first off, just tell us a little bit more about United Colors of Cancer.
So, United Colors of Cancer was born out of my personal cancer experience. I was diagnosed with a metastatic cancer 12 years ago. And when I entered the cancer space, I was a young adult. So, I was under the age of 40. And there was nothing, I wasn't seeing brown people at support groups. And I was trying to figure out, we're getting cancer just like everyone else. We're dying of cancer at a higher rate. Why are we not coming to support groups? Are we not feeling like we're welcome? Are we not, is the advertising not in our communities? What's going on? And so I reached out to support groups and I asked them, I was like, I'd love to be an advocate in this space for you. And I was shot down. Like they were just like, oh, we're working on it. Or there's not enough of money in those communities. So we, focus our stuff over here. And so I realized this was an untouched area. Fast forward 10 years later, and I'm married with a child. Pandemic hits, and I'm stay-at-home mom, and I'm talking to my husband every day about the cancer space. And he's like, you are passionate about this. Do something. I was like, I'm a scientist. My degrees are biology and physics. I mean, if I was in the laboratory, we'd be talking about trying to find a cure. But what do you mean do something? He was like, create an organization, do the outreach that no one did for you. Like, oh, okay, we can do this. And so it literally started as just a conversation over a kitchen table and speaking to other brown and black people in the cancer space and finding out that they felt the same way, that they were feeling unseen, unrecognized. And then with the George Floyd Black Lives Matter movement, we had a huge snowball effect of the cancer space all of a sudden saying, oh, look, Black Lives Matter and cancer. And I was like, we've been saying this for years and y'all aren't doing anything. Don't give us lip service. Do something. And so we were born out of that. When it reached the place where I said, stop, I don't want a seat at the table, I'm building my own table. And so that's where UCC came from.
I love it. And I feel like a lot of things that we start and that becomes something is because we were searching for something for ourselves and we just couldn't find it. So this was a amazing example of that. So how did you come up with the name?
So we went through a lot of iterations of names. And I loved United Colors of Benetton. I'll just be very honest. And I loved the way they did their advertising. And I loved the fact that I'm an 80s baby. So I loved the color differentials in their ads and the fact that they were one of the first groups to actually use very dark hued women and show them as beautiful. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I unite the cancer space? How do I show that we are a unified body? And the Benetton theme kept coming up. And finally, one day I reached out to like my little think group and I said, what do people think about United Colors of Cancer? And everybody was like, that's it. You're done. Don't give us any more names. That's it. And it was unanimous across the board that it was a unifying name, but then we could also use unifying symbolism with it. And so they were like, this is it. Because we had colored cancer, we had cancer coalition or something, I can't remember, CCC. There were a whole lot of different iterations, and finally United Colors of Cancer just really spoke to our mission and spoke to the idea that we weren't, yes, we're for the BIPOC cancer community, but we weren't eliminating anybody.
Right.
We were uniting the space. And that's been a challenge. The cancer space can be very it's isolating in and of itself being diagnosed, but then when you enter the cancer space as an organization, it can be very Well, we're not disease specific. And there's so many organizations that are, it's Black breast cancer, or it's
Mm,
sibling cancer with Chadwick Boseman, or it's, we're looking at the statistics on Black lung cancer, things like that. It's very, very, very disease specific, and we're not. We are universal for disease. You just need to be diagnosed. We are looking at what is this global community of Black and brown persons? Why do the health disparities exist? How do we change them? And then once we change them, how do we make sure that the systems are in place so they don't repeat themselves? Because you
yeah.
could change them for a short period of time and then they come back. And we want to figure out how do we make sure that we're truly changing the system.
Mm.
Um, and so that's where we really wanted to unify our voice and make it clear that we're not talking about the disease we're talking about is cancer, and it doesn't matter what type.
I love that. And it's crazy because I never even thought about it being disease specific.
Specific.
That never even crossed my mind. So you just brought something to light that I was not even recognizing it was. So it doesn't matter what cancer you're diagnosed with.
Correct.
It falls all under your umbrella.
Yes.
So tell us, and you touched on it a little bit. Give us some statistics of what BIPOC people face within the cancer realm.
So, but universally, what has been found is that there is a disparity in early diagnosis. So we'll talk about breast cancer really quickly. So breast cancer is one area where we're always talking about early diagnosis saves lives. That's the big mantra of the pink ribbon groups, right? Early diagnosis saves lives. Early detection. Get your mammogram. Do your breast checks. All those things are about early detection. What we're finding in the Black and brown cancer community is that, yes, that's true, but we're not getting access to the early detection methods. And so what's happening is that people are being denied a mammogram, or being denied, oh, that lump you feel, it's nothing, don't worry about it. Black women have cystic breast all the time. You have high density, we're not going to worry about it. Or we have high density, the mammogram doesn't show everything, so you really need an ultrasound, but you're not given that ultrasound. Which in turn results in a late diagnosis, which means your staging is later, which means your prognosis is not as good. And so that is a disparity of late diagnosis, not because you didn't reach out to try to get the diagnosis, but because the health community already had its own biases about what we needed, and therefore missed your diagnosis. And it's documented. It's crazy that that's a documented statistic, that we know that this happens. And then they say, well, early detection. I'm like, we're trying for early detection. And I can give you all of these persons, male and female, who've gone and tried to get this mammogram and been denied.
Yeah.
And then that goes into medical bias and how we train doctors, and the fact that there's a statistic that blows my mind, having come from the medical. I was pursuing a degree in medicine when I got diagnosed with my cancer. So having come from that background, a statistic that blew my mind when I started United Colors of Cancer was that there's no oncology residency program at a historical Black college or university, medical school. So that means we're not producing Black oncologists. So then that means when you go to be diagnosed or treated, you're not sitting across the table with someone that looks like you, or understands your cultural background, or understands the significance of you wanting to have someone who gets you culturally and your treatment.
Yeah.
That statistic blew my mind. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, Meharry doesn't have one? Like, I started going down the list. I was like, wait, Meharry, Howard, what? No. There's
Wow.
no oncology residency program. We're working on it. We're working on changing that. But that and see, those are the avenues where I think that's where you break the system and you change it for every generation after you. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you create those programs, then the next generation, okay, I'll see someone that looks like me when I'm diagnosed. May not change the fact that I'm getting diagnosed, but at least it changes the person sitting across from me who understands me a little better and has done research on the effectiveness of this treatment in my demographic. That's the
Mm-hmm.
other thing. We're not in clinical trials. They're now starting to require a diversity of clinical trials nationally for your clinical
Mm-hmm.
trial to get approved. But prior to that, we weren't offered clinical trials.
Yeah.
Doctors' bias assumed you're not going to be able to complete the trial. You're not because trials, one thing people don't talk about, trials can be expensive for the
Yeah.
patient. So you think, oh, the person's getting this free medication, but you have to pay for the scans. You may have to pay for the blood work. You may have to have to drive an extra distance to go to the trial site. There's a lot of expense that can come on the patient's behalf with a clinical trial, which can be a barrier to trials. And then doctors just
Mm-hmm.
had this bias in the back of their head that you're in this demographic, we're not even going to offer the trial to you. That we're changing doctors' perspectives and they're starting to offer more. Now we're also asking, okay, trials, you need to pay for some of these things. You need to start paying for the Uber to get to your trial site, the scans that are not going to be approved by insurance because it's a clinical trial.
Right.
And why should the patient come out of pocket for that? This is part of your data that you need, pay for it.
Mm.
And then that allows all demographics of patients to be offered trials. There's a lot going on in the clinical trial movement of diversity in the idea of getting big pharma to recognize the need for diversity. What United Colors of Cancer is talking about is, okay, we recognize the need. That's done. We're all
Yeah.
talking about it. What are we doing? How are we getting the trials in the hands of these patients? And there's some great organizations out there that we're partnering with who are doing just that.
Okay.
And are getting those trials in the hands of patients who wouldn't normally know about them.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned early detection. Like that's what you hear all the time. So what advice or suggestions would you give to anyone who is going to every doctor's appointment, doing everything they're supposed to be doing, to make sure that I mean, I guess we can't really depend on the doctors to make sure that we get the care that we need. So how do we step up and help with the process?
So learn to be your own, know your family's medical history if you can. I mean, I know people are adopted. I know people sometimes don't have all that information, but know as much as your family medical history as you can. And then learn, your own body. So my diagnosis story is one for the ages. For about 2.5, almost 3 years, I kept telling my doctor, I have a pain. I just don't feel right. I wasn't feeling good. It was knocked off on, you moved to California, there are new allergens. I went to ENTs. There was always a reason why. It wasn't until it was blatantly obvious on a PET scan. I mean, I lit up like a Christmas tree where they were like, "Ooh, this is not good. Like, we need to deal with this." And even then, I had naysayers. I mean, I had doctors who were like, "It's not that bad." And it wasn't until post surgery, when they actually got in there and saw where my cancer was, that they were like, "Ooh, this is a little more aggressive than we were expecting.
Oh,
We're going to
wow.
have to get this reviewed by the tumor board and do some other things." Da, da, da. But I had been advocating for years that, hey, there's something wrong. Your body. Get in tune with, if something doesn't feel right to you, say something. And if your doctor doesn't listen, find a doctor that will. Keep beating down the door, or reach out to United Colors of Cancer. We'll give you a list of advocacy questions to say to your doctor, hey, this is a symptom I'm having. This is what I want to have done. These are the tests that I'm requesting. You have a right to request testing. It's your body.
Wow, wow. So I'm glad you mentioned reaching out to United Colors of Cancer. So if someone is recently diagnosed or diagnosed, how can United Colors of Cancer help?
So we're doing a lot of different things. We're working on launching in March or April. I have to look at the
Okay.
calendar. We're working on launching March and April, a monthly kind of chat and chew where you can sit down and talk to other survivors, but it's mediated by a social worker specialist who can help you kind of work through the nuances of survivorship. And what does that mean? So we're working on that series that's going to start soon. We send out surprise survivorship boxes to persons who reach out to us and let us know that, hey, we've been recently diagnosed. The boxes have all kinds of little goodies in them. They're care boxes. So there's chapstick, there's fuzzy slippers, there's a journal, there's a mug, there's tea, it's my tea and sympathy box is how I feel about it, because I know when I was diagnosed, cancer is very isolating.
Mm.
Hollywood makes you think that everybody's going to shave their head, wear a t-shirt and say rah 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 sis boom ba, we all got you, girl. No. Cancer, especially in the young adult world, young adults, when you're diagnosed, so young adult in the cancer space is between the age of 18, it used to be 18 and 39, I think it's now 18 and 35, I'm not sure, but that space, you've graduated from college, you're starting your career, your friends are all having babies, people are getting married, they're going on trips around the world, like all life is happening.
Yeah.
And then boom, you have cancer. Your peer group doesn't want to hear about it. It makes them face their own mortality, which they don't want to do. And then B, it's just odd. Like, one of my friends has cancer at our age.
Yeah.
And then that's something that they have to like work through. And so no, all of Hollywood of everybody shaving their head and coming to your hospital and throwing you apart doesn't happen. It's extremely isolating. When you go to treatment, you're in a treatment room and everybody's, got gray hair and doesn't look like you. And so you're just like, where do I fit in?
Right.
And with that, United Colors is trying to bridge that gap. We're trying to say, okay, not only are you a person of color and we recognize cancer is challenging in that sector, but we also realize that just being diagnosed in and of itself, especially in the Black and brown cancer communities, there's still parts of our communities that don't talk about cancer.
Yeah.
I have friends who are South Asian, and in some certain sectors of South Asian culture, there are no words for cancer in their languages. It's not discussed. Or it's still you sinned or something brought it on. Yeah. You did something, not you lost a genetic lottery, which is what I feel like. But no, there's something wrong. And so we're trying to we have a whole series that's actually coming out about breaking the barrier of silence and opening, just like we're talking about mental illness and how we need to talk about mental health and mental health care in the Black and brown communities. We also need to talk about how silence affects our health. We don't talk about infertility. We don't talk about, there's so many things we keep really closed and shut in Black and brown communities, and we need to bust those doors wide open. And for us in the cancer space, our things are know your history, talk about your history.
Yeah.
Aunt Susie didn't die from, we don't really talk about that. No, it's not. We didn't talk about Bruno, people. Come on. Aunt Susie died from breast cancer.
Yeah.
You need to know that. Then you need to know, did she get genetic testing? Is there something, should you go open up that dialogue in your families and in your communities. And then when one family opens up the dialogue, the next family feels more comfortable, and the next family feels more comfortable. And it stops being this big elephant in the room. We can now start talking about cancer in our spaces. And then we can talk about, yes, why does diet play a role? Why are we seeing such a disparity of a high incident rate of colon cancer in the Black and brown community, lesser than we're seeing in non-Black and brown communities.
Right.
What's going on? Is there a diet thing there? We can start talking about those elements of it because we've now discussed the fact that the elephant's in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. So tell us how we can support how we can support United Colors of Cancer and its mission.
So the biggest thing right now for us, besides donating, which is we're a nonprofit, so we're a 501c3 recognized nonprofit by the IRS. But besides donating, that's what every nonprofit needs to keep. That's their bread and butter. That's how we keep our lights on. But besides that, getting the word out, making sure that, so it's heartbreaking when I hear it, but it's also great when I hear it, because persons will say to me, my sister, my cousin, my neighbor, whoever was just diagnosed, and I want to put her in contact with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear someone was diagnosed, but I do like the fact that you realize we're a resource.
Okay.
And so letting people know that, or even past survivors, I love having people come back and say, we need to see. So one of the things American Cancer Society does is that when you do the cancer walk, they have you line up in phase of survivorship. So like the newbies, I want to say it goes the opposite order. Like the newbies are in the back, like the first year people are in the back, and then the persons who have survived the longest are in the front. So you're looking ahead and you're seeing these people are 15 years out, 20 years out, 30-year out survivors, and you're saying, I can be there.
Yeah.
So I love having survivors, even if you're like, I live with metastatic disease. I consider myself a survivor. Doesn't mean my cancer is cured. It just means that I manage my cancer every day. I take my medication. I do what I'm supposed to do, and I check my numbers. So we love having persons who have survived come back and tell their story. We love persons who have survived come back and tell us, I wish I had this. Because my experience is going to be different than a breast cancer person's experience, or a colon cancer, or prostate, or like we have a survivorship committee of survivors who are ranged from, I want to say one of our older survivors is like 72, all the way to young survivor who is like 17. And then that way we're getting a bridge, and we have one caregiver whose daughter is a survivor. The daughter's not part of it because she's young, and we're respecting that. But the caregivers are part of it. And we get the perspective of what it's like to have a child dealing with cancer. And having survivors come back and talk to persons who are just diagnosed, or persons who are like, hey, I'm about to try this treatment. What helped you with the nausea? Just because the doctor said, take X, Y, or Z doesn't mean it actually worked for you. Sometimes you need to hear, I had to do pregnancy bans, ginger chews, this, and the medication to get through this phase of nausea or that, or whatever side effect you're dealing with. Did the cold, I'm actually talking to a group to find out whether or not there's these cold caps you can wear during chemotherapy now that they offer to reduce hair loss. And I'm like, has anyone studied that on multiple textures?
Yeah.
Nope. I mean, I asked, and the answer was no, we haven't. And I was like, so do you want to do that? Do you want to find out does it work for everybody? Because not just this texture of hair is going to get cancer.
That is insane. It's like we influence so much in this world, and it's like, how do you forget us in certain instances? It just does not make any sense.
Part of that is medical bias that's just innately, I mean, when I think back to medical books that I looked at when I was in school, we're not photographed.
Yeah.
We don't donate our bodies to science. So when you go to when you go to your gross anatomy lab, there are no brown people on those tables. That's another area where we don't talk about, like, are you an organ donor? Did you say you want to donate your body? Like, that's because, and rightfully so, with our distrust of medicine, because of Tuskegee study and things like that have gone on. But we have to change the narrative and say, okay, here's how some of these things can help us, and here's how things have changed because of those horrific things that happened in the past.
Right.
And
Right.
here's why I need you to trust that, yes, you can donate your body to science. Yes, you can be an organ donor. Yes, you can do these things, and it will further accomplishments in our space.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So is there a mailing list that people can join, and where can they join?
So if people visit our website, which is unitedcolorsofcancer.org or .com, both work,
Okay.
there is a section where it says stay in touch. And just by logging in there and giving your information, we will not spam you. We do not send out. I'm very cognizant of email just overload. I mean, I feel like I get it just as a founder. And so I try to be very understanding of, especially the group of people that we're dealing with who sometimes are, going through a lot of medical treatments and amount of medical appointments. We don't send a lot of information, a lot of newsletters. Right now we do a quarterly. I'm like, let's just do 4 a year, people. Let's not try to overwhelm people. We do updates on the website all the time to tell people what's going on and what's the newest program available. For
Okay.
instance, in March, I believe, we are launching our very first financial assistance program for the broad public. We've done financial assistance for individual survivors, but we're launching one for fertility assistance. In one of the things that I realized and recognized, I got fertility assistance when I was diagnosed. I decided I wanted to freeze my eggs and preserve my fertility. And that my assistance came from Fertile Hope, which was part of the Live Strong organization. And so they paid for my medications for me to freeze my eggs.
Oh, wow.
And there are a lot of organizations out there that do that. What no one talks about, and that we're doing, is that we're helping you pay your storage fees. They're $800 a year. Actually a little bit more than that now. And so what we're doing is we're going to give 6 families or 6 persons the opportunity to apply for a scholarship for us to send them financial assistance to help assist with, we're saying storage fees because that's what is on my heart to do.
Yeah.
But whatever you want to use it towards your fertility preservation. So if it means a ride to your doctor's appointment, if it's for pay for your medications, whatever it is you need to use it for, you can use it for. But we're particularly focusing on the storage fees because I don't know of any other scholarships out there that actually help with storage fees.
That's
And
amazing.
add up. I mean, for me, I stored everything for 12 years.
Oh my gosh, that is absolutely amazing.
You're thinking that's roughly $12,000 that I put out.
Yeah. Yeah, just the
And
store.
just to store eggs.
Wow.
So then if you actually make embryos, you're paying for eggs and embryo storage. So then that's $2,000 a year. And people, when you're in the midst of all of it, you're just like, I want to preserve my fertility.
Right.
You don't think about, and then the bill comes a year later and you're like, oh, I have to pay this. Okay, you pay it. The bill comes another year and another year and another year. And you realize this is adding up. And what if you're unemployed? And so that's our first big national rollout of financial assistance for survivors, is that, and I want to say it's March, because I think March is Fertility Awareness Month, but don't quote me on that. It's either March or April. I have horrible pregnancy brain right now. I mean, I'm honest. I am 25 weeks pregnant, y'all, and pregnancy brain is real.
Look, I'm sure everyone here watching and listening understands and knows the struggle. So the next thing is, how do people donate? I definitely want, I mean, you gave a lot of information. So how do we donate?
So on our website, we have a donation page. It's easy to do straight through the website. It's secured, it's encrypted. And that's probably the easiest place. We will do various fundraisers throughout the year. That'll be very specific. We'll do an auction later in the year. where we're going to auction off some items, one of them being an Apple Watch, things like that. So then there are other fundraisers that will happen, but right now the easiest way to donate would be directly through the website.
Awesome, awesome. And that's unitedcolorsofcancer.com or .org, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, cool. So before we go, I want to give people an opportunity to shoot their shot at you. So what types of things do you need in your business right now that you wouldn't mind bartering for?
I need a nanny. No. Right now for our business, I need to clone myself. And I think every founder feels that way.
Yeah.
We need marketing. I think everyone, as you're growing, you start realizing like we have a beautiful logo. I think the logo really speaks to who we are. But then how do we get the word out? How do I get the word out outside of the cancer space that I'm directly a part of? How do I get the word out? How do I get on Good Morning America so that people understand who we are and what we're doing? We were very successful last year in using pitch competitions to kind of get the word out, which was great for us.
Nice.
It's a very different way of fundraising in the nonprofit space. But now I'm at a place, because we're expecting, and I'm going to have to step back and won't be able to pitch as much as I want to. What I want to do now is really get a true marketing plan in place so that we can actually be doing the market. Someone else can be actually doing the marketing that we need to do to get ourselves out there. So marketing is one of our biggest. We have a great web team. Probably administrative assistant wise, even if that's what is it called, a virtual assistant. We're at the phase now where we're getting enough information coming in that I actually need assistance in keeping it all very organized and linear, and knowing things like, okay, what month, like I don't know off the top of my head right now, just seriously because of pregnancy brain, but what month is I mean, I know October is breast cancer awareness month, but what month is for infertility awareness, or what month is child loss awareness, or what month is persons to do that kind of back leg research. And we need
nice. So you heard it. Marketing, definitely. Administrative assistant, virtual assistant, whatever you call yourself. We need some help. So shoot your shot in the comments, and then she'll definitely reach out to you.
I will.
So this is the last episode. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. But I did want to say, I think I strategically wanted to put you at the end because Barter Black is looking to partner with nonprofits for each quarter of the year. So we're starting in the second quarter, so to see how we can help with our network to bring more eyes on United Colors of Cancer. So if you're interested, I'm definitely super excited to work with you further. Definitely go on the website and donate. Like I learned so much in this conversation, especially with fertility and, just stuff I just never thought about, that you are helping with people with cancer. And I appreciate you for stepping up and being this voice and this face and the support for everyone in the BIPOC realm who are dealing with cancer right now. So thank you so much for joining me. Did you want to give any last words?
Thank you for having us. I'm excited that I love watching you grow and develop. Like, this has been kind of fun seeing Barter Black go from where it was just 2 years ago to where it is now. And your comfort.
Yes.
Your comfort in public speaking.
Yes.
It's we got a whole new Nicole. And so that has been exciting. So the fact that you recognize that nonprofits, I feel like I'm doing the nonprofit thing my own way. I'm not going the regular route of, we need to get celebrity endorsements, we need to do this, no, I'm starting in my community. And I feel like we can lift each other up and share all this information and grow each other. And so, yes, we will definitely reach out when you're ready to do the partnerships. So that has been really exciting to watch you grow and develop. So the last little bit about United Colors of Cancer, I really wanted to be a part of this Black History Month exposure because we are the first organization focused on the Black, Indigenous, people of color cancer space. There's nobody else out there doing what we're doing. So we are Black history because I feel like our mission and our message is integral to Black history. We are creating a new space for Black and brown people. We are Black. And I feel like every founder is Black history, but in our particular instance, we are truly Black history. But so I'm very excited about just the opportunities that I think United Colors of Cancer are going to afford our community.
All right, so thank you so much for joining me. Remember to donate. Go on the website right now and donate and check out the website. It's absolutely amazing. I know you said your web team is on it. It is. It's amazing. So our last episode, thank you so much for joining me this entire month. I do not know if I will continue to do this. We'll see. If you've missed any episodes, go back and look at them. Support the entrepreneurs that are on the podcast. I appreciate you. Today in Black History, you saw 28 Black amazing founders, CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs. So thank you so much again for watching and have a good one.